Hello everybody and welcome to Astro Pills Astrology. We are going to touch on the sun today in this little presentation, and I'm particularly interested in this subject. Particularly, I titled it The Unaspected Sun in Astrology, but I'm going to quickly touch on this as well as intercepted suns as well. And before I do that though, I'm just going to let everyone know I have a special guest coming up, Lydia Lee, and we're going to talk Chinese astro. She's just written a book that's getting published. I've written one as well, and we're going to do a live on my YouTube channel. It's coming up in the month of September, and we are going to talk all things Chinese astro with plenty of chart examples. So it'd be great if everyone can jump on, and anyone who's got questions around Chinese astrology, then by all means just either write comments, let me know, and we may even particularly run through some people's Bartzer Four Pillars charts as well. But anyway, I'll give you guys plenty of notice about this. I've already kind of put a post up on the YouTube channel about it, and I aim to get a few other guests coming up this year as well, which is really exciting, so I'm looking forward to this. And I just also want to touch on the sun, like I said before, because I think the sun is obviously it's important in astrology, and I'm touching on this basically probably from a Placidus house system. So I mean, I'm trained in both. I use Placidus, and I'm primarily now a Placidus user, funnily enough, and there's reasons for that. But I have been trained in whole signs as well. And so I think it's both are very fascinating house systems. And of course, when you're a professional astrologer, it's best to pick and choose whichever one you want to use. But I personally, at the moment, I'm using a lot of Placidus because of I've a lot of things that kind of come to my mind, particularly with intercepted signs, and I've just noticed certain behavioral patterns, probably from a psychological point of view, that have really become quite clear to me over the years of looking at charts, and of course people revisiting their charts over the years. And so, and like all things with astrology, I think we're always trying to refine the art and work out what kind of system works best for us as practitioners. So I think it's important. And I wanted to talk about the sun today because I have come across a number of charts over the years with an unaspected sun and unaspected planets, actually, which I think is an important subject to talk about. And it's interesting to see how these things play out. But I've just chosen, I mean, I could do a whole series on this. People can comment below if they want me to do it. I mean, I can get into Mercury, unaspected, and Venus and Mars as well. But I primarily chose the sun because to me, when the sun's unaspected, personally for me, it's a lot to do with a Taoist concept called selfhood. And I think that's really important. Because the sun does represent our impulse towards autonomy of selfhood. And of course, the sun's the center of our consciousness, our basic life force. So the house it's placed in shows where we need to shine, where we become illuminated to the importance of our purpose, to the purpose of our lives, right? And so the sun provides us direction. Its brilliance makes us aware of our own importance, right? You could even throw in the Randian concept of the virtue of selfishness, which is quite important. So it makes us aware of our own importance and the significance of all that is around us and our relationship to it. So the sun in astrology is like our personalized center of the universe. It's in our natal charts, right? It's where we need to shine, where we need to illuminate ourselves, so to speak. And It encourages us to keep our life growing and moving and evolving. And, just as the sun, as a note, empowers and illuminates and illumines planets in our solar system, well, then, of course, in our birth natal chart, it illuminates us and our own personal life force, our own power. And, obviously the sign that contains the sun describes the quality you must develop and integrate and help integrate all the other planetary aspects kind of going on, right? So our sun sign, usually we're seeking to kind of grow into it. So, and I think that's an important thing to understand. I don't think those qualities are just given it to us. We're here to develop it, to develop these qualities. And obviously, the house placement is going to describe the experiences where we need to function with full consciousness, right? With the sun. And it also describes our own sense of purpose and importance that need to be developed around that house. And, without the sun, right, we're in trouble. The sun, generates life force, prana, chi. And the sun, so to speak, from a religious point of view, is the risen savior, because if it doesn't rise, then we're all in big trouble, right? So it emanates everything, right? To me, the sun actually is one of the great transformers. It illuminates things. It can illuminate the shadow, right, as well, of the psyche. So it can show us our blind spots, our hidden parts as well. So I think the sun is really, really, it's vital. It's our vital force. It rules the heart. It rules selfhood, like in Taoism. And it rules the cells of the body, the cellular matrix, and things like this from a medical astrological point of view. But it does rule the heart, and the heart is the sovereign ruler. And the heart resides, we have what we call selfhood, or the imperial self, that is seated within it. So, and I just like to touch base on an unaspected sun, because I've come across this a lot when I've done charts for people, actually, and I've seen it play out in a few different ways. But I think when we look at what is an unaspected planet, it means there's no major aspects affecting it. That being an opposition, a square, a trine, or a sextile. So it's almost like the planet's got its own. It's just on its own. It's a maverick. It's an odd one out. And when it does operate as an odd one out or a maverick, it can manifest in a naive, pure, raw, and untainted form. It's the planet can be more internalized, where it can kind of hibernate more like a sleeping dog, and exist with little or no expression, right? And more commonly, right, it can be externalized, seeking to extend itself, search for meaning, connection, and integration, and yearning for fulfillment. So we can over-exaggerate the qualities of the planet when it's unaspected as well. But with the sun's being unaspected, I found, just observing this in people I have personally known, and from doing charts when I have actually seen this, I have noticed that a lot of people can be extremely self-centered and behave like kind of an island onto themselves. So they can really just not give a shit about anyone and just do what they want, right? And I've also noticed too that on the flip side of that, the person, because the sun is really our strength of self and our ego, really. And I find that the individual with this kind of aspect on the flip side must really work really hard to, in particularly to define their own ego and really work hard to determine what their life direction actually is. And it can also be a challenge for them in terms of deciding where to direct one's life force or one's energy. So they can really not have a very strong sense of self at all. And in actual fact, these types can be, I've noticed, can be quite, they're almost like, they can shapeshift. That they're like a chameleon, right? That can, there's kind of no real sense of self, right? So they just mask and mirror. And one particularly chart I've noticed this was, who was like this was someone with a progress sun as well as an unaspected sun, and the progress sun was going through the 12th house, was absolutely had really no idea of who they were, or it's almost like they would have such a weak sense of self, or weren't really into anything, but they would just really follow the crowd and crowd consciousness and kind of shape shift into whatever anyone is doing at that time to fit in, which is quite interesting. And because the sun is where we feel like we need to shine, some people with an unaspected sun, they can be really starved for attention. They can really do whatever it takes to feel special and, either fit into the crowd or the opposite, to stand out from the crowd. But they can spend a lot of their time searching for recognition or being in the limelight, which the kind of sun represents. Now, I have also wanted to bring in too an intercepted sun, or interceptions, when it comes to the sun, and that usually happens in the Placidus house system. And I think it's really important because with the intercepted suns, I think it's a little bit different from unaspected suns, because in my opinion, what I've observed is people sense of purpose or need to shine or to stand out and to be important is really obscured in some way. They can experience difficulty in defining the true essence and importance of their lives, and the experience needed to develop self-consciousness are not provided by the immediate environment. So a lot of these types, right, really their sense of identity can be so so hidden. Like these kind of people really they like to hide. They really don't like being in the limelight. I've really noticed this with the intercepted sun, and it can be more difficult to discover the meaning of your life, or because you find the environment does not contain or provide experiences that make you feel important. So these people can be can have extremely low self-worth and or self-esteem, and it can be difficult to find the answers to what really resides in your heart, to find your true sense of selfhood. And you have to really, really search within to be able to find this, I find. And I've noticed this with people in the charts I've done with the intercepted suns. And having said that, it kind of doesn't negate your purpose, but it's just that you just need to work a little bit harder to find what your purpose actually is. So it's it can be difficult to experience or create your own level of independence. And you kind of really, I find that these people are really challenged to listen to that inner voice, to really become your authentic self or your autonomous self as well. I mean, these people, I've noticed, just have to really work hard to develop that self-esteem and have the courage, because I've noticed a lot of interceptions with the sun. And obviously, you need to look at the chart to see how it all really plays out. I'm just kind of talking generally here, but they kind of need to have a certain, some kind of crisis happens to awaken that sense of self, and then they can generally find their purpose or their vocation. But it takes some kind of rattling to the consciousness for that to actually play out. And of course, whatever house the sun is in, we need to look at where Leo is in the chart to see how the sense of purpose is it's going to be expressed and played out. And because in connection to the purpose as well, or when we struggle to define our own purpose, we may feel the world just doesn't really understand us with this intercepted sun. So, and sometimes when we lack our own perception of where we're going or where we're heading, we may struggle to build our own ego and struggle to understand our life purpose and our own importance. And this is why it's extremely important to develop a very strong sense of self as well. And I'd also throw in too, I've observed, particularly with the self-esteem stuff I mentioned, I would even throw that when the sun is in conjunction to the south node as well. That can be a very weak sense of self. And people have to really work hard to develop their own ego and have that courage as well. And this is my little take on this. And if anyone wants to comment about this, who does know their charts and know their what house system they use, and of course, sect comes into all this as well, whether your chart's diurnal or nocturnal. If it's a day chart, then the sun's going to have primary importance as opposed to a night chart where it's not. The moon tends to take a little bit more into consideration. So there's a lot of kind of give and take and factors you need to consider. But I just really wanted to talk about this because, excuse me, unaspected planets are extremely important. And also throw in too, if your sun is unaspected or intercepted and you have a Leo ascendant, or if the sun is the lord of your chart, ruling and steering the ship of your destiny, then it's going to play even more importance. So I'd just throw that in too. But anyway, I just wanted to throw this out to you guys. It's a little bit different to what I've done before, and yeah, strap yourselves in for these talks coming up, because I'm really excited about this, and it's going to be really great to start doing a few lives and get some people jumping on and asking questions and all this kind of thing. And I look forward to the Chinese Astro one, and there's a few other Astro speakers I've got in mind to get on. And we'll speak soon.